Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and battle packs are $45 now in the good year of 2025. That's right, we're taking a look at the 327th Clone Troopers vs. Battle Droids battle pack featuring 4 327th Legion Clone Troopers, 3 Super Battle Droids, and costing $45 US. $45 US is a lot to pay for this, and it's kind of crazy that a very similarly scaled battle pack with 3 more battle droids in it is on the market right now for $30 that just came out last year. I think this is kinda crazy in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree, but join me to see if there really is any merit to this battle pack, or if you absolutely should wait for a sale. This right here is 75431, the 327th Star Corps Clone Trooper Battle Pack. It retails for, just believe me when I say this, $45 US or 40 euros, and comes with only 258 pieces. Yes, out of all those pieces, 4 of them are Clone Trooper minifigures and 3 of them are Super Battle Droids. But it does not make any sense to me that this is $45 US, especially when there is literally an equivalent Clone Troopers vs. Battle Droids battle pack on the market that is $30 and offers basically the same exact thing that you can see here. Set number 75372 came out just last year, you can still buy it online, and came with the exact same number of minifigures and even 2 more battle droids than we get in this set, because this one has 3 super battle droids but no regular battle droids, and that one had 3 super battle droids and 2 regular battle droids. It doesn't make any sense to me how that set was able to be $30 with 215 pieces, but this one at $258, sure there might be a few more pieces, is $45. Now, I'm going to try to set my thoughts on price aside until the end of showcasing this set in the review, because I do want to actually holistically review the building experience and the minifigures and give my honest thoughts on what I think about all of them, but it is very, very hard to ignore the price, especially because that is kind of the focal point of talking about the set. Aside from a small ground-mounted blaster, which really doesn't offer that much in terms of play, I guess it does have the stud shooter firing function. One of the side builds we get in the set is this spider droid, and I actually really like it for what it is. 2022's ATRT was actually the last time, to my knowledge, that we got one of these dwarf spider droids, and the build is pretty improved since then. I actually feel like this is a lot more realistic compared to the on-screen appearance as opposed to some of the other versions that we've gotten in the past, and personally I am really happy with the design of this particular build. The eyes are more fully integrated into the dome, which isn't really something they've done in any iterations of it in the past, and instead of using the movable gun turret element, which they typically used to depict this droid, they've chosen to depict this with one of the 3x3 semicircle domes, which I actually think does wonders in terms of the shaping. They would not have been able to pull this off without the usage of 2 relatively new pieces on the back of the spider droid itself. They're new curved elements we first saw last year in the buildable C-3PO, and since then have appeared in a ton of different colors. I like how you can kind of pose the eyes, obviously the turret can be moved up and down, and the legs are also more posable than ever. There's a lot of different joints on the legs, and I'm personally really happy with this build. It's not 100% perfect, but I actually think this is the most screen accurate version we have gotten to date. The detail is great, and there's really not much to complain about when it comes to taking a look at this droid. I honestly hope that they put this build in a magazine or something like that so people will be able to army build them, because it is genuinely a really good build. But moving on to the main build of the set, and that is the ATRT for the 327th. We haven't really seen 327th Troopers for a long time. In fact, the last time we got 327 Troopers at all was back in 2005 and 2007 when we got the Clone Troopers Battle Pack and the original Clone Turbo Tank for the Revenge of the Sith wave. So obviously a lot has changed since then, and it's really cool to get them back again. As far as the ATRT is concerned, it's a pretty standard build. It's almost identical in build to a lot of the other ATRTs we've gotten in the past for the 501st and just regular ones as well. Obviously very, very oversized compared to what the ATRT is supposed to be in universe, but I think that for a Legoification of this vehicle, the scale is something I've really gotten used to, because this is basically the Lego version of the ATRT, and if you really wanted to make a minifigure scale version, it would be really finicky and very small. They only really attempted it once as a side build deploying from the Clone Turbo Tank all the way back from the Clone Wars series, and honestly that's kind of fitting, because there is another Clone Turbo Tank in this wave. As far as the build is concerned, I actually do like the shaping on the front of the build. I think that the angles used for the wedge plates and the triangular flags really just make it feel very nicely armored up, and the decals are quite nice as well. It's a lot of stickers for a relatively smaller set, and I guess I say smaller set, but this is $45, still feels like a very small set to me. But altogether, I think the actual build quality of this particular ATRT is pretty good. I'm very happy with the build, not really anything else I would have changed. Is this worth $45 though? Because really, it's this and the Dwarf Spider Droid, and a few minifigures. The answer is absolutely not. But before we get into my final thoughts on the value of the set, let's take a look at all the minifigures that come with. Technically, there are two different clones included in this set, but really the only difference is that one of them is using the new rangefinder piece that they introduced for the UCS Jango Fett's Slave 1 earlier this May, and I think it looks really good. What's far more exciting though is the usage of a brand new molded plastic pauldron element. It's the very first time we have gotten a molded plastic pauldron, and I think it actually looks really good. I guess LEGO decided that it's hard for kids to put on cloth elements, and the rules behind that internally at LEGO are always very confusing to me. Like, we get cloth elements for LEGO Dreams all the time, but for Star Wars, I guess they decided that we shouldn't do it because kids have trouble putting it on. I don't really know, but it is actually really nice to see a plastic version because it actually fits maybe even better than a single cloth pauldron piece would fit, and it looks very screen accurate, so I'm a big fan of that piece. As far as the rest of the detailing on the figures, you know, say what you will about helmet holes, I actually do like how you can get multiples of the same clones and then just add different accessories to them by utilizing the same helmet piece. I think that is good. However, I do not like that there are two holes on the side of the helmet. It doesn't really make sense to me that there's like a fake hole and then a real hole. I don't know. I think that if they just consolidated it into one hole, yes, it would still be inaccurate because it would be moved a little bit too far up, but I do like the extra functionality to add in the rangefinders and the binoculars and all that. The detailing on the clones are honestly pretty decent, not really much else I would expect or want from clones like these. They do fit in visual style-wise with all of the modern clones we've really been getting since the 501st Battle Pack era back in 2020, so I do like the visual consistency, and especially the dark gray kind of shadow lines around the helmets. I just feel like that adds a lot more detail. But with that, we have summed up my thoughts on this battle pack. 45 US dollars, that's right, 45 for 258 pieces is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot recommend this set. And look, I've seen a lot of people online saying we gotta boycott this Star Wars wave and send a message to LEGO that we're not gonna buy it. And while I respect that, I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think the actions of one fan base are going to particularly sway LEGO's decisions. However, I feel like these sets in this wave, and this one in particular, are so egregiously overpriced, you don't even need a boycott. Like, people are just straight up not going to buy it anyways. I respect it, and you know what? If you feel that strongly about standing on your principles, I 100% can get behind that. And I will say, as a reviewer who got this set sent to me for free by LEGO, I am even the one saying that it's ridiculous and you should not be buying this set. If I'm saying this, that is saying a lot, but again, you don't need to hear it from me. I genuinely think that the general public will reject the notion of a $45 battle pack that includes just this. Maybe if there was a equally substantial side build, like some sort of a larger side build for the Separatists to actually come in on, maybe even 3 more battle droids, or include like a 5th clone trooper, I don't know, something to make it seem more worth it, that would be great. And the really funny thing is, when prelim images of this leaked, there was actually a very tiny, it was a minuscule, but there was a tiny side build of terrain, and somehow that got removed from the preliminary version of the set to the final one, so they actually took something out. It wasn't even that substantial, and it wasn't nearly enough to make it worth it, but I do find it crazy how they genuinely think they can get away with charging this much for this set because, well, people like clones and people will buy them. And here's the thing, I like clones, I like this set, I genuinely do. I think it's a solid set. It's a solid $30 set tops. 25 to 28 is very fair, 30 would already be pushing it, but 45, sorry, not to end this one on a bit of a downer, but I just cannot recommend this for the price. Obviously though, those are just my thoughts, so do let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, but with that, we've summed up my thoughts on this incredibly overpriced battle pack. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Bye for now.